Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and it is quite possible that I have some good news. It is possible that my channel, this channel, is now unblocked in India, so people from India can also access this. So, congratulations to all of you who have stood with me through this period. Thank you for all of your support. So, today I'm going to talk about three, four things, as you can see from the thumbnail. One, I want to talk about basically the Quad. Dr. Jaishankar had his meeting today with his compatriots. Marco Rubio was hosting the event here in Washington, D.C. It is essentially a preparation for the Quad summit that will be held in India in September for the heads of states, for which Donald Trump will be traveling to India. And the second thing that I want to talk about is are two interesting observations that Dr. Jaishankar made in his speeches. One, when he talked about terrorism in India's new terrorism doctrine, which was announced by Prime Minister Modi after the Operation Sindoor. When he spoke to the nation, he said that we have made some adjustments in our strategy to how we respond to terrorism. This zero tolerance for terrorism policy, which he explained. So we will talk about it. I have a video of that. I will play that and I will comment on it. Then I will talk about the answer that he gave to a question at the Newsweek forum that was held in New York yesterday. And at the forum, he was asked the question was uh, that whether the tension between India and US over how the ceasefire happened, the fact that President Trump is repeatedly claiming that he was responsible not only for bringing about a ceasefire between India and Pakistan, but he leveraged the trade negotiations. There are no serious trade negotiations with Pakistan. India's trade with the US is in the close to $150 billion, and Pakistan and US trade is at $7 billion. There's no real leverage there, but nevertheless, he said that he had used trade leverage to get the ceasefire. So I will show you the question and I will comment on his answer. And I will talk about what's happening with the India US bilateral trade agreement. There is also another comment that Dr. Shankar made in that meeting about why this is a BTA and not FTA, why it's not a free trade agreement, why it is a bilateral trade agreement. Uh, and so we will talk about that. And I also want to talk a little bit about the ongoing fight or battle between Donald Trump and Elon Musk. So I'm going to start with the ending first. So it appears that these days President Trump has only two instruments at his disposal for governing as president. Either it's tariffs or it's deportation. So, for example, he has threatened to investigate, denaturalize, and deport Zohran Mamdani if he wins the election. So he's going to go after the mayor of New York. One really very nasty Republican conservative has actually filed a complaint with the Department of Justice. Saying that Zohran had made a rap song before he became US citizen, that was 7 years ago. And in that rap song, he implied that he was supporting communism or socialism or whatever. And therefore, he should not have got his green card. And so they should take his green card and deport him. They have become, Republicans have become such sore losers that they cannot compete in the battle of ideas and popularity. They really got worried with Zohran. Even Trump is scared of him, apparently. So they want to disenfranchise him. We'll see what happens with that. And the same thing he's telling Elon Musk. Elon Musk, I really don't understand what's going on with Elon Musk. Elon Musk just went ballistic again. This is the third time he's got ballistic against Donald Trump. The vote for Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill was passed. Finally, it passed the Senate. Now they have to reconcile because the Senate version is different from the House version, and they'll get it together and they will try to then re-vote on that, on the reconciled bill. So Elon Musk threatened US senators who voted for Donald Trump's bill, saying if you pass this bill, then yes, Ravi, that has happened today, I think. So Elon Musk was saying that telling Republicans that if you basically vote for this bill, then I will come after you and make sure that you are completely. What he was trying to say was that you will lose your primaries and you will not be able to win elections in 2026 or 2024, depending on whenever it is due. Senators are senators for 6 years, so one third of the Senate will be up in 2026, and then one third in 2028, and so on and so forth. So he said he's going to go after all of those senators who voted on this bill. He wants to spend lots of money, and he said, "This will be even if this is the last thing I do on earth, I will do this." He wants to also start a party called American Party or America Party. But I don't understand why is he doing this. The last time, which was on June 5th, that he picked a fight with Donald Trump, he lost $150 billion in market capitalization. So Tesla lost $150 billion. So Donald Trump, Musk is suffering losses in two ways. One, the sales of Teslas are dropping like crazy. Okay, especially the steepest drop has been in Europe. And that was because of his connection to Donald Trump. So he's already paid a huge price in terms of sales of Tesla in Europe because of his support for Donald Trump. And he spent $277 million to get Donald Trump elected in 2024. So he's losing money because Tesla is losing basically market share everywhere. And then he's losing money because the cost of the stock of Tesla has dropped significantly. And so it's losing money. And then even today, it dropped by 6%. So I don't know how much money he lost today, but on June 5th, he had lost about 134. So from his net worth was around $460 billion, he's come down to $334 billion. And Donald Trump is threatening to basically deport him back to South Africa. He's going to disenfranchise him and go back. So if you remember, when I did a show many weeks ago, I had suggested that there might be a problem with Elon Musk's transition from student visa to green card and citizenship, because it appears that he may have worked as an illegal immigrant for some time when he transitioned from student visa to H1 or whatever way in which he got his green card. So we will see what happens. He has a lot of money, even if he's deported, which is unlikely to happen. But if Trump breaks the law and simply arrests him and does something which is completely illegal, like they did with that Garcia fellow in Maryland, and off to, sent him off to Nicaragua, I think, no, to El Salvador, and then after much activities, the courts forced him to bring him back. So he can do something. Trump can do something illegal like that. These are people who have no respect for rule of law with Elon Musk. So I don't understand why Elon Musk is risking all of this. Trump is saying, I'm going to unleash Doge on you. I will take away all the subsidies that the governments have established for green energy cars and other things. What is motivating Elon Musk? He can't be president of the United States. He was born abroad. So he's more powerful than most senators, even in the country. So I can't understand why, just to keep the US debt low. I mean, he's become so loyal to America that he's worried about America's debt to such an extent that he's willing to sacrifice his entire wealth and his companies. It doesn't make sense. So there's something irrational going on there, an ego clash with Donald Trump. The world's most powerful man is going up against the world's richest man. So it actually will make a good movie or a Netflix series in the future, I guess. So anyway, I thought I'll give you an update on that, and it'll be interesting to see what happens if the fight gets into courts. The second thing is that I want to do is to talk about this particular statements and speeches that Dr. Jaishankar made. So the first speech is, let me pull it up. Where is it? It should be here. And okay. Uh, Let me see if you are able to see this. Oh, you are not seeing it. Huh. Let me see. Stop sharing this. So I need to get to the right window. Okay, I got it. So as you are seeing, this is the speech that Dr. Jaishankar gave. I'll play a couple of.
Heard about terrorism in the light of our recent experience. The world must display zero tolerance. Victims and perpetrators must never be equated. And India has every right to defend its people against terrorism, and we will exercise that right. We expect our Quad partners to understand and appreciate that. India plans to host the next Quad summit. We have some proposals on how to make that productive. I'm sure so do our partners. Heard about terrorism in the light of our recent experience. The world must display zero tolerance.
So the first point that he's making is that he's saying that India has adopted this strategy of zero tolerance for terrorism, but he wants the rest of the world also to adopt a zero policy for tolerance. What is interesting is a zero tolerance for terrorism. Now, the question that I want to ask is there's terrorism of multiple types. There's terrorism by individuals, we call them lone wolf terrorism. Then there is terrorism by terrorist groups, ISIS, Al Qaeda, and others like that. Then there is state sponsored terrorism. So states are involved in killing civilians and non-combatants, and Iran was often accused of it for the last 20, 30 years. But Iran was accused of state-sponsored terrorism because Iran was killing Iranian dissidents in foreign countries, especially Europe and even in the US. Iran was doing exactly what India is doing in Pakistan and did in Canada, which is kill civilians and citizens of Canada, accusing them of being anti-India, etc. There is a similar accusations that Iran was making against its dissidents who were actively working against the Iranian regime when they were in Europe. The fourth type of terrorism is essentially state terrorism, not state sponsored terrorism, but state terrorism. And many countries in the world accuse what Israel is doing is killing children and women of state terrorism. So if India is going to have zero tolerance towards terrorism, is India going to have zero tolerance towards terrorism perpetrated by India's friends and allies? And that is a question that I would like to ask. In fact, I'm thinking of writing an article exactly to this effect as to what is the meaning of the word zero tolerance. Should the whole world have zero tolerance only for terrorism when India is the target? Or other forms of terrorism will also be conducted because the US still considers Iran as a state sponsor of terrorism, and not just for funding Hezbollah and Houthis, but also for killing dissidents in other countries. That is how Iran got on the list. So that's the first comment that I want to make about this policy. But look at the next few points too.
Victims and perpetrators must never be equated.
So he's saying victims and perpetrators. So India and Pakistan that Donald Trump has put on the same level. So India had worked very hard to de-hyphenate India and Pakistan. And now what has happened as a result of Operation Sindoor, subsequently, that everybody is talking about India, Pakistan in the same breath. So they're looking at the region through the lens of India-Pakistan conflict. When he's saying that, why are you equating the two of us? And Donald Trump's statements, especially about Asim Munir, that he is a very impressive fella, very wise. He said nice things about Shehbaz Sharif, while saying nice things about Prime Minister Modi also. But what he's doing is he's doing that at the same time. So he's rehyphenating India and Pakistan. And this is what Dr. Jaishankar is saying, that you should not treat the victim and the perpetrator on the same level. They are not moral equivalents, which is a fair point.
And India has every right to defend its people against terrorism, and we will exercise that right.
This is I mean, this doesn't need to be said. Any and every country that is target of external violence has the right to defend. The United Nations gives them the right to defend. But when it's terrorism, one of the reasons why India's diplomacy has failed after Pahalgam is because India has not, and India continues not to provide direct connection or evidence between the Pahalgam terrorists and Pakistan. They talk about past examples such as the terrorist attacks in Mumbai or India's parliament, etc. So even in this video at the Newsweek fireside talk that he had with the editor of Newsweek, he talked about past examples but provided no evidence. This was a good chance for him to come out and say, look, here's my evidence. Because when Canada accuses India of committing transnational repression, which is a form of terrorism in Canada, India says, where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? Canada has not produced evidence at all. There is no evidence. Intelligence is not evidence. Lots of people come here on my channel and make this argument that, yeah, they may have intelligence, but intelligence is not evidence. Show us the evidence. Where is the proof? And the world is now turning around and telling India the same thing. So, where is the proof? Show us the proof that Pakistan was responsible for Pahalgam. And that is why nobody was willing to condemn. And that is why in FATF, Japan, India's ally, member of the Quad, was so tough on India. They not only voted with Turkey and China in favor of Pakistan, but also kind of chided India by telling India not to politicize the matter and to keep it technical, which means that India had failed to provide the evidence for all the allegations that it was making.
We expect our Quad partners to understand and appreciate that.
So, this is what I found interesting. He says that, so we are going to, if we are experience terrorism, we are going to have zero tolerance towards it. We are going to retaliate, and we will be, Prime Minister Modi's policy is that we will definitely ghar mein ghus ke marenge. We will attack Pakistan where it is. But what is interesting is he says, I want our Quad partners to understand and appreciate it. But he didn't ask and say, I want our partners to support us. And that I found interesting as to why he would not say that. Why do you want appreciation? Like, what do you want? The Quad partners to stand and clap? Or just send a tweet saying, wow, wow, wonderful thing? Or do you want some kind of support, intelligence support, maybe even provide some material support for India's counterterrorism strategy? So I found that particular phrasing, let's say it's because of jet lag. Okay, he's been very busy, and so maybe let's not pay too much attention, but it was a curious statement that he made. And finally,
India plans to host the next.
so he just refers to the next Quad summit, which is going to be in India in September. And as of now, the big story about that is that Donald Trump is coming to India, and he has confirmed at least twice. He confirmed it when Prime Minister Modi invited him after the recent G7 summit, when they had a conversation, 35-minute phone call. And in fact, Trump said we might even meet before that. Then that meeting could come if there is a possibility of India and the US signing a bilateral trade agreement, which is very comprehensive and something that Donald Trump wants to use to promote himself here in the US. Then you might actually see, a White House lawn event where they are signing this agreement. Who knows what anything can happen within a few weeks here. But nevertheless, as of now, on schedule, September, Donald Trump is going to India for the Quad summit. But now I want to shift to this question. There are two questions, and I want you to listen carefully and go and find this. It's on YouTube. Newsweek has this video on its channel on YouTube. So listen to the question and then his answer, and then I'll make some comments.
So where do you see the progress of the FTA between India and US? Thank you. With the US, it's not an FTA. It's something called a BTA, bilateral trade agreement. There's a reason why.
So, so let's
So
listen
if
to.
it's an FTA, it's got to go to the US Congress. If it's a BTA, it doesn't go to the Congress. It has the boundaries are a little tighter there. I think, as I told Dave.
So now I want you guys to listen carefully to what he's saying. So this is not a free trade agreement. It's not an FTA. It is a BTA. It's a bilateral trade agreement. But what is interesting to me is that the only distinction that he makes, think of bilateral trade agreement as a big box, and the free trade agreement is a smaller box inside the bilateral trade agreement. So he's saying that the reason why we are not signing a free trade agreement, we are signing a bilateral trade agreement, is because uh, a free trade agreement will need ratification by the Congress. But this will be just an executive order signed by the president. It will be like the JCPOA deal that Iran had with the US, which was just not ratified by the US government. It did not become a treaty. It was just an agreement between the President of the United States and Iran. So this will be an agreement between the President of the United States and India. Now, that can be very troubling because Trump, if he changes his mind, he can immediately just with one pen stroke get rid of that. Number one. Number two, what is also going to happen is that the next president, if he doesn't like it, he can also simply just knock it off on day one itself. So it's not an enduring. So what I'm trying to say is if India is going to invest billions of dollars in restructuring its economy based on this agreement, so for example, if the agreement involves India's agricultural sector getting a big hit because Donald Trump has forced India to reduce tariffs on agricultural products, it's going to have a huge impact on unemployment in rural areas. Farmers will become jobless. They'll have to go to the cities. You'll have to create jobs. So it creates a huge disruption of the economy in various sectors in the economy. And if the disruption is not like enduring, like comes 2 months later, 2 years later, Trump changes it or the next president, then all the investments that you make in adjusting to the new realities are lost. So that makes me nervous about the bilateral trade agreement rather than it's a free trade agreement. Plus, free trade agreement means you can reduce tariffs. That's the whole goal. But bilateral trade agreement need not have tariff reduction in it. It's just an agreement on trade matters. Anyway, let's go to the question about ceasefire, and we'll talk about it. As usual, once I finish my commentary, then we will talk about your questions, your comments.
Thank you, Dr. Jaishankar, for being here. Dhruv Goyal, I run an investment management firm that invests in India. In a recent readout between a conversation between President Trump and Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, it was said that we never allow foreign countries or any third party to mediate a dispute that's happened between India and Pakistan in the most recent border conflict. But we continue to see President Trump, go on and on about using trade as a means of resolving this conflict. Has that in any way affected the trade negotiations and delayed its conclusion? No, I don't think so. I think the trade people are doing what the trade people should be doing, which is negotiate with numbers and lines and products and do their trade-offs. I think they're very professional and very focused about it. In terms of what has been our position, yes, I mean, we have for many years.
So the question is very interesting. The question is that India has always maintained that there will be no multilateral involvement in matters that impact India Pakistan. This is the Simla Accord since 1972. So everything, India's position is everything has to be bilateral. Pakistan has tried to make it international and multilateral many times. So the question he was asking was, he says, Trump is saying that I caused a ceasefire using trade as a leverage. So he wants to know whether that disagreement about between India and the US on what caused ceasefire. Trump says, I caused ceasefire. India says, no, the Pakistanis called us, and so we agreed. So somebody made a phone call. Trump says we made the phone calls. India says no. Pakistan made the phone call and says, "Bas hai bhai, enough. You thrashed us enough. Now please stop." And so we stopped. That is India's narrative. So he's saying, is this affecting the trade negotiation? That's a very smart question. The guy invests in India. So Dr. Jaishankar is saying that negotiators, which he's talking obviously about the American and Indian negotiators, and saying they are very professional. So the disagreement with, I mean, this the anger in India with what Trump is repeatedly doing this again and again and again, 18 times he's already done that, is not actually seeping over into the negotiations on trade. Great, that's fantastic. But then he proceeds to go into something else, and listen to him.
It's not a position just of this government in Delhi. I mean, it's been a national consensus that our dealings with Pakistan are bilateral. And in this particular case, I can tell you that, I mean, I was in the room when Vice President Vance spoke to Prime Minister Modi on the night of 9th May, saying that, the Pakistanis would launch a very massive assault on India if we did not uh, accept certain things. And Prime Minister was impervious to what the Pakistanis were threatening to do. On the contrary, uh, he indicated that there would be a response from us. This was the night before, and something, the Pakistanis did attack us massively that night. We responded very quickly thereafter. And the next morning, Mr. Rubio called me up and said the Pakistanis were ready to talk. So I can only tell you from my personal experience what happened. The rest.
Uh, so this is an interesting discussion that happens, and let me unpack it for you. So this is what Dr. Jaishankar is saying. He was in the room in the night when JD Vance calls Prime Minister Modi and says that Pakistan is going to make a massive attack on India. He's not going to stop with that. I'm sure he must have made some demands. So why don't you agree for a ceasefire so that you don't have to suffer a massive attack from Pakistan? I'm assuming that's what JD Vance said. But Prime Minister Modi said, no, we will handle it. And we will respond if they attack us massively. Now, the thing is, what he's not telling us is the entire conversation, obviously. He's just saying JD Vance called and said, so, first of all, I find it very interesting that JD Vance is taking away Pakistan's surprise. So, in that sense, you could say JD Vance helped India by letting India know that Pakistan is going to unleash a massive attack. A lot of us were very surprised. The large number of drones and missiles that Pakistan unleashed on May 9th on India, it was quite unexpected. So, but apparently, and there was a lot of appreciation as to how India was able to defend it, and so a lot of talk about how fantastic S-400s are, etc. But now we know that India had been warned by JD Vance in advance notice. So if if the Pakistanis are listening to this, they should be pissed off, because they basically JD Vance gave away their surprise. I don't think it happened that way. JD Vance must have used that as a threat of escalation and said, look, you have done this, you have attacked it, now let's have a ceasefire. Because if you don't have a ceasefire, we have intelligence that Pakistan might be attacking you massively. And one way to avoid this escalation, because that was an escalation, you should go for a ceasefire. India said no. And the next day, apparently in the morning, Marco Rubio calls Dr. Jaishankar and tells him that Pakistan is ready for a ceasefire. But India didn't make a demand for a ceasefire. And even if Pakistan was requesting a ceasefire, The ceasefire didn't come directly to India, as Indian government has been claiming all the time. Now, Dr. Jaishankar is saying that the request was mediated by America. It was Marco Rubio who told him. And that's the difference. If India is not accepting any international mediation, let me give you an example. There's a lot of family politics that goes on. She said this, he said this, they did this. I just don't like it at all, and I don't want to know also. And so I just said, look, I'm not interested in it. Do not tell me. I'm not ever going to participate in it. So when something happens on the family side and I start getting texts and phones, I don't take them. So when Marco Rubio, JD Vance, and others started calling, India was not interested in mediation on this issue. So India should have said, look, excuse me, we are busy with a war. We are too busy. We are fighting a war. So, and we don't take mediation. So please just leave us alone. Why are you coming here, Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia? Why are you coming here, Foreign Minister of Iran? Why are you calling me Foreign Minister of Saudi Arabia, of UK? Don't call us. We don't take mediation on this issue. Once we are done with whatever we are doing, we have zero tolerance for terrorism. Once we have done what we will do, then maybe we'll tell you what we did. But we don't want your mediation. It doesn't make sense. The story is not very coherent as far as I'm concerned. But of course, most people in India will think it is something brilliant. Okay, but of course, and they will also not ask the question as to why nobody else in the world is buying this narrative, because it is not very coherent. It doesn't make sense. There's so many phone calls. Why are you taking? If that is not mediation, then what is mediation? Anyway, you have a direct phone call, just call directly and speak. Why didn't Modi pick up the phone and call Pakistan and say, look, are you planning to do a big massive attack? We have intelligence that said, look, if you do it, it's going to escalate. We'll kick your ass much harder. So you decide. He could have done that, but none of that happened. Anyway, so these are some of the things that are going on, which is very interesting. The Quad Summit, like I said in the preview, was not really anything big deal. From India, the big point was India was telling them that this is our new counterterrorism policy, which is zero tolerance for terrorism. Number two is Marco Rubio basically emphasized the need to, and it's very interesting if you go and read the State Department statement by Marco Rubio. He says it's time for us to go beyond rhetoric. So he's saying what I've been saying, that this is just a club where people sit and talk and not really do much. So he's saying it's time to go beyond rhetoric. And the thing that he identifies was very interesting. So it does not have to be about security, but what we need to do is we need to finalize or ensure or make our supply chain, the global supply chain of rare earth materials, more secure. Because in their tariff dispute with Iran, with China, America's vulnerability to China on rare earth materials was exposed, and the US realized that it is dependent on China for these things, so that China also has weapons with which it can hurt the US in a trade war. That was a realization. That's why they now have basically come to an agreement with China even before India. So there, right now, the US has only two framework agreements. One is with UK, and one is with China. And I think the first more comprehensive agreement will be with India, probably before 9th of July, because then it creates lots of problems. Trump will have to give another exemption. Then everybody will start calling him here taco. And otherwise, they'll have to announce the deal by 8th of July, because the, the, the reciprocal tariffs kick in on 9th of July. So right now, tariffs on India are at 10%. They will go to 27% on July 9th. So I think that is where we are on the trade negotiation. It's very difficult. I did a review, and even India's finance minister spoke about it. Dr. Jaishankar was also very careful He was not suggesting that we are close. He says we are close, but you never know, etc. So there are fundamental disagreements on two issues. India is reluctant to reduce tariffs on agricultural products, as you all understand and know, especially maize, the butta on the corn, and soybeans. Uh, because one reason is there's a lot of surplus soybeans here in the US. China has stopped buying it. China is not only not buying soybeans from the US, but is importing it from Brazil. And Brazil has now become a big producer of soybeans just because of China. So the US farmers who used to, because of Donald Trump's tariffs in the first term, that the soybean farmers in the US have suffered. So the US wants to export soybeans and maize, especially to India. And the Indian government is very worried that it will hurt Indian farmers. And the other is auto parts. I don't know why there's such a big deal about auto parts. Uh, and I'll tell you an interesting story about that later, some other time. About made by USA. So I bought a Mercedes piece many years ago for my boss in India from Delhi, made by USA. It was, I didn't read it properly. I thought it was made in USA, and it made by Ulhasnagar Sindhi Association. Ulhasnagar, USA was Ulhasnagar Sindhi Association. So they would say made by USA. Anyway, and India and Trump wants access to Indian markets. And so he wants India to reduce the tariffs on agricultural products, reduce trade barriers, especially to services. And the third thing he wants to do, India to do, is reduce the deficit, which is about 43 to 48 billion dollars. And in order to reduce the deficit, India will have to buy F-35s or some other uh, PL-1 or something like that. I really don't know what that is, but it's some kind of an aircraft. So those are the three things that India will have to agree on, at least from the American side. What India is demanding from the US is basically saying, no, give us some flexibility on agriculture. So that is India's demand. Give us some flexibility on agriculture. Yes, we will perhaps buy some of your shit and reduce the trade barriers, and maybe we will allow you access to our service industries. Your tax companies can come in, and your IT companies can come in into India. But give us some flexibility on agriculture. I think that is where the whole thing is at the moment stuck. So anyway, this is the extent of my presentation on these four things. So now I will be happy to take your comments and your questions. And today is a very auspicious day. Uh, so that's why I'm dressed in red and yellow, rowdy fellow, as we used to say. My channel is now accessible to India. So now I'm stuck with two channels. I don't know what to do. We'll see. So Ravi Sharma, yes, thank you very much for the news. Naveed Akhtar, good morning. Mark, we have all our old friends are here. Jay Walker should resign. Jay Walker, I mean, his performance has not been very good. I mean, look at the answers also are not very specific. Mark, Anupam Jain, hello Anupam, how are you? Good morning to you. Rahul Pathak, Yani Baba, okay, Yani Baba, GB. Will tweet MEA and Cyber Dost, proud Canadian. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's threatening me. That's fine. Uh, uh, okay, you can tweet. Uh, what is else was there? Why didn't he name Pakistan? Oh, Mark, that's a very good question. I think in the private discussions, India is very specific about it. But when it comes to press conferences, etc., India is old school, and so they are not making any direct accusations against Pakistan. But the exhibition that was hosted in the UN, the human tragedy or human uh, cost of terrorism, is all about terrorism by Pakistan in India. So there are obviously photographs and details, etc. So there, Pakistan is clearly mentioned. So, but in these particular clips, he doesn't mention Pakistan. But I'm sure that India is not shying away from mentioning Pakistan at all. Uh, so, but like I said, there must be some undercurrent of tension between India and Japan over what Japan did just 2 weeks ago, or less than 2 weeks ago, where it blocked India's attempts to put Pakistan back on the grey list by FATF. And not only did it block India, but it actually scolded India for not politicizing the process or for trying to politicize the process. Uh, Yad Bhai, good morning. Good morning to you too. What, in your opinion, on attack on civilians overseas with no terrorism tag versus civilians who are ratified as terrorists? AB, that's not the point, AB. They are citizens. You can't come and kill American citizens. You can call them terrorists. You cannot call them terrorists. You know. So, for example, when Narendra Modi was chief minister of Gujarat, his visa was cancelled. Okay, for supporting basically a genocide in Gujarat. His visa was restored only after he became prime minister of India. So a lot of people in America were calling him genocidal. That is state-sponsored terrorism. So it is okay for us to kill him? Obviously not. There has to be due process. People don't seem to believe about due process. I'm very shocked that India takes a lot of pride about democracy and then doesn't believe in due process. You're not a democracy if you don't have an independent judiciary. And you're not a democracy if you don't have due process. Let me give you an example. Last month in Gujarat, 8,000 homes were destroyed by bulldozers without due process. In a democracy, you would take each house and prove in a court of law that this is illegal construction and then destroy that if you respect law. In America, there are 700,000 Indians who are illegal, most of them from Gujarat. Do you think, can you imagine the possibility of Donald Trump ordering that all their homes be bulldozed in America? No chance, because we follow rule of law. Donald Trump deported a guy who he accused of being a gang member to El Salvador, and the courts brought him back. That is rule of law. Donald Trump arrested an Indian graduate student at Georgetown and locked him up for 3 months, and the courts forced him to release because he was not following due process. He thought he would get away with it. It's not happening. Even for Donald Trump, he's not able to get around due process. In a true democracy, his rule of law is very fundamental. If you don't respect rule of law, then it is not just because you think this guy is a terrorist, then you can go kill him. Come on, that is not possible. There are lots of people who do go around lynching people in India. We can declare Bajrang Dal as a terrorist organization, and then can we go kill all people who are from Bajrang Dal in India, some foreign country doing that? Obviously not. That would be state-sponsored terrorism. So there is no distinction. You have proof that the person is terrorist, go make the case. And then extradite the person, like India, the US did with Nikhil Gupta. They went to court in Czech Republic and proved in the court that they have enough evidence on Nikhil Gupta, who was trying to kill an American citizen, and they extradited him. He's in jail today. That is due process. You think the CIA could not have killed him in Czechoslovakia? Easily they could do that. But they didn't do that. Master GI, is it possible that India changes its foreign policy in near future? Foreign policy, forget about India. Let's look at foreign policy in broadly. Foreign policy has two things which make changes to foreign policy. One, if something changes in the world. Let me give you an example. So India is now very friendly with, well, very few countries really. Let's say India is very friendly with Israel. If tomorrow Netanyahu falls and breaks his neck, inshallah, and dies, and some guy comes who is very sympathetic to the Palestinian cause and wants to change his whole policy, which will force India to change its policy with Israel, because something external has changed, right? So that is an important part. India was buying Iranian oil. When Trump got elected, he said, I will impose sanctions. India stopped buying Iranian oil. So India's foreign policy towards Iran changed, not because of anything that Iran and India did, but something which was external to both of them, which was the election of Donald Trump in 2016 election. So that's one thing. Something happens in the world that changes. Russia breaks into 10 different countries. India's whole foreign policy will change. Many countries' foreign policy will change. So that's one thing. So external environment, how does it change? Uh, the second part is if internally if there is an ideological change. So for example, if Congress wins, inshallah, election in 29, I don't like the Congress, but I don't like Modi also. Let's say you have a third party that comes to power in 2029 in India, there'll be some subtle changes in India's foreign policy. Not too much, but some subtle changes. But if India's capacity changes, let us say that India discovers a huge amount of oil and huge amount of uranium suddenly, which is accessible within 6 months. And India's GDP goes from $4 trillion to $12 trillion. Its foreign policy will change. So either something about the state has to change or something about the international environment has to change. So the structure and power capacity influences your foreign policy. What is happening in India's case is India is bullshitting a lot. So, for example, if you remember, I kept saying that India is the only country that is friendly with Israel and Iran. Today, Jaishankar also said that, but they did nothing about it. That is not enough. We are the leader voice of the global south. My ass. You never speak for Palestine and Gaza. There's nothing bigger than the global south than Gaza. You are an agent of Israel. You become member of SCO, but you vote not with the rest of the country of SCO, but you vote with Israel. On the SCO's resolution, India was the only one which abstained. So India is not even the voice of the club that it is a member of, which is SCO. It is the voice of Israel in SCO. So India has this problem because it is coming from this Hindutva ideology. And that is why it need to make sure that its ideology is consistent with its capacity and with the system. The system is SCO. All countries, 9 countries, are not with Israel. Why are you in that club? So there's a mismatch. These decisions that they think they are very clever. We will be strategically autonomous. No, you're not strategically autonomous. Look how many times you come to America, desperate for a bilateral trade agreement. China is strategically autonomous. In India, they were so desperate that Trump didn't invite Modi for his inauguration. Xi Jinping was invited, he didn't care, he didn't even come. That is autonomous. Even China is not fully strategically autonomous, but it has greater autonomy than India. So does Russia. But Saudi Arabia has no autonomy. India doesn't have autonomy. They would like to have it, like every other country. The French also talk a lot about strategy. So yes, India needs to rethink the foreign policy posture and attitude. Nobody is talking about it in India. India doesn't have a strategic culture of international policy discussion because they are so afraid of Modi. Oh, he will send ED to us. If a think tank questions him, he will cut the think tank's funding and so on and so forth. So there's a very dictatorial approach to think tanks in India. So they are all very, very quiet. But that has to be like India's delegations, they all failed. Shashi Tharoor's delegation to the United States was an utter failure. If they came and told J.D. Vance that India has a zero tolerance for terrorism and Pakistan was responsible for Pahalgam, and this is very important, we expect the US as a quad partner to accept what we are doing and appreciate it, like all the stuff that Jaishankar just said. I'm sure Shashi Tharoor would have said it in far more eloquent fashion to J.D. Vance when they met him just 10, 15 days ago. And two or 3 days after that, Trump invites Asim Munir, the terrorist, for dinner at home and then gives him great appreciation, says he's a wise man, etc. That's a failure of your diplomacy. Your friend, your quad partner, doesn't buy your Kool-Aid. So there's something wrong. Either the messenger is wrong or the message is wrong. Subramanian Swami these days calls Dr. Jaishankar a waiter. I think Jaishankar is a very smart man. I read his both his books. His second book is absolutely useless, but his first book is very good. The India Way is very good. Everybody should read that book. I also give it to my students to read. But the second book, The Bharat Way, is absolutely trash. It's been written to say, oh, please read my book and make me a member of RSS. That is the purpose of that book. It's nothing else. But I think India needs to be able to rethink they need to ask, why did we fail to get support from the rest of the world? Why is nobody blaming Pakistan after Operation Sindoor, after all the diplomacy we did? Pakistan this month is now the president of the UN Security Council. This month, the month of July. So much for India's diplomacy. Nobody, I guarantee you, nobody in India will ask this question except me. If I was in India, of course, maybe we phad jati, because there will be people coming and burning me alive on the street or drag me in the street and beat me to death and make videos and put it on Facebook, and the police will be just standing and watching. So that is it. Why aren't people asking serious questions about Indian foreign policy's failures? India has a 15 to 20 year window of opportunity to become a great power. We should not miss that. After that, there will be like nearly 300 million Buddhas, 65, 70-year-old. They'll become a burden. Labharti programs will have to increase. Otherwise, these old people will be on the streets. It's going to become very messy like Japan. Japan in 2015 was a $6 trillion economy. In 2021, around COVID, it became $5 trillion. Now it became $4 trillion. It is going down because of one aging population. All right. Ahmad Jamal. What did Ahmad Jamal say? I forgot. Hello, Rohit. Rohit is a supporter of Khanversations. Thanks for joining. Ahmad Jamal, Quad isn't interested in Indian domestic politics, which is centered on Hindutva. Yes, I agree. But Ahmad Jamal, Quad is only interested in building a bulwark against China, and India is not interested in that. India wants to see what all benefits I can get from being a member of this high-tech society. Japan, can I get technology from Japan? Can I get investments from Japan? Can I get jet engines from the US? Can I get investments from the US? Can I send people to work there? We need jobs. That is what India is thinking. It doesn't want to get into a fight with China. I agree, that's a smart move, but because India is dragging its feet so much, Quad is becoming a useless organization. Go and read the summary. It's such a waste of time today. While I was preparing for this, I had to go to the Newsweek videos because there was not really much content to talk about, except three, four things. One was that Rubio is interested in supply chains about rare earth materials. And nothing from Japan. They just said the same thing. India's only new thing was, please accept our terrorism policy. Why are you not accepting this? Why is Pakistan a member of UN Security Council and the president of the UN Security Council? It's such a joke, really. Anyway, Narang, your question. Good evening, sir. Very valid points you raised on ceasefire. It was good to hear your conversation. Yeah, that's a good one. Lots of people said that Amirullah Khan was very good. Please watch, everybody. Uh, and also on Arnab's show. Hope people in power in India are listening to you. Yeah, a lot of my friends were telling me that maybe my channel was unblocked today because I was on Arnab Goswami's show. Who knows? I don't know. I have not received even official intimation from YouTube also. Even though I was trying to find out how much Kapil Sibal costs to go to court, because there is another channel in India called 4 p.m. or something, which it has 7 million subscribers. It was also blocked, but he went to Supreme Court and they unleashed him. But apparently Indian lawyers charge a lot of money. Retainers are in lakhs and lakhs of. I'm just a professor, I can't afford it. Also, do you see Shashi Tharoor replacing Mr.? No, not at all. Shashi Tharoor was asked this question. He said, I'm fundamentally a Congress person. He's just pissed off with Rahul Gandhi. And Look, I was very shocked when Shashi Tharoor lost to Mallikarjun Kharge. But I don't understand Indian politics as well as I understand geopolitics and foreign affairs. So apparently, Mallikarjun Kharge was a yes man for like 60 years. He did whatever the Congress people. So the way Amir explained it to me, or somebody, I don't know, some Indian guy who was visiting explained to me that look, Mallikarjun Kharge is like the driver you trust, and he's been driving your family for 50 years. And then when the time comes to appoint a guardian, you choose him because you trust him, not because he's talented or something special about him. Plus, he's a Dalit. And then Congress is now putting a lot of pressure on caste politics as opposed to religion. So Shashi Tharoor lost to him for presidency. So Shashi Tharoor wants to be more important than just an MP. He either wants to be chief minister of Kerala, which is not happening, or he wants to be president of Indian National Congress, which is not happening. And then he thinks he should be the foreign minister of India. And I can understand with his talents and his experience with the UN, he's thinking, I will never become India's foreign minister if this stupid Congress doesn't win. And so he's very frustrated. And so he's doing things to get back at Rahul Gandhi. And I think I also found it very petty that Rahul Gandhi and the Congress opposed when Modi appointed Shashi Tharoor as the leader of the delegation. They should have celebrated him. That was a mistake. There's too much of ego going on there. Rahul should have personally congratulated him. And one of the top leaders of Congress, Paswan or whatever that guy is, they should have gone to the airport to see him off. And he would have felt good about himself. Hey, everybody is recognizing my talent. Modi is appointing me. Rahul is celebrating. So Shashi Tharoor would have been happy. But now he's a little happy, but also very frustrated because he thinks he can do the job better than Jaishankar and is not getting the opportunity to do it. I went to Bhaas Summit in April. So I was in some closed door seminar. So right next to me was a Congress MLA from Kerala who was sitting next to me. So we were all introducing ourselves. There were people from Spain and Dutch, Holland, Sri Lanka, etc. A lot of intellectuals and scholars. And then this guy, suddenly one MLA, I was surprised first of all as to what a politician was doing in that meeting. And then when he said that, I sent him a note saying, "Is Shashi Tharoor joining BJP?" So he looked at it and he looked very startled and surprised. He says, "No." And he explained to me that off the record, I forgot his name, so I cannot leak it. So he said off the record that maybe Shashi Tharoor is frustrated that he can't become chief minister of Kerala. And that seat from where Shashi Tharoor is contesting is apparently so ideological that if Congress replaces Shashi Tharoor with some other person, that other person might also win that seat easily. So he's not even winning his MP's position because of his personal talent. It's just because of the ideological demography of the constituency. It's an easy win for Congress. Uh, uh, Pawan Prakash could be from any party. Yeah, could be. Mere dil mein meri jaan Hindustan. You're looking like Om Prakash, old Indian actor. Om Prakash was not this good looking, yaar. Kya baat kar rahe ho? His best movie was Chupke Chupke, with Dharmender, and they make fool of him. That's the Om Prakash you're talking about, right? Uh, Clearly. And he was not as articulate as I am. Sorry. Yeah, yes, we are just both of us are bald, but that's all. Uh, Everything useless for Pakistan. Mr. Mandal is back here. Oh, Mandal. Last time I let you say a lot of things. Okay. Hey, Nikhil. Yeah, thank you very much. So, anyway, thank you, all of you. Thank you, Rohit, for joining. Thank you, Mark Welber. You're quite regular. Anupam Jain, two of the members have joined. Thank you very much, all of you. In a few hours, test match is going to start. Oh my God! Every time I look at apparently they're not going to play Arshdeep again. They're going to play the other fast bowler who's again, all three will be right arm bowlers, bowling same identical bowling. So I really don't know what goes through these people's heads, so I hope that India wins this match in Birmingham. Otherwise, if they go 2-0 down, then it'll be difficult for them to come back after that. And then it'll also, Bumrah will start thinking, oh my God, we've already lost two. Why should I, risk my body for a series which we are nearly lost? So I think the motivation of Bumrah will also go down if they lose this test. So I hope India, inshallah, performs well in this test. Tomorrow I'm at home, so I might do another live show in Hindi sometime tomorrow around noon, around 12 o'clock my time, which will be around 9:30 p.m. Your time in India. So uh, I look forward to seeing you. I'm going to post a survey on my post in the community section, asking people if they want me to talk about the big, beautiful bill of Donald Trump, which is going to increase the deficit by 2.5 to $5 trillion. If you're interested, I can do that. But if you're not interested in the nitty-gritties of it, I will not do that, because, like I said, the bill has just passed the Senate with a very small margin, but it has to be reconciled in both the Senate and the House, and a third version will come out, and then they will pass the bill afterwards. So anyway, if you're interested, please let me know. But otherwise, everybody, thank you for watching Conversations. Please subscribe to the channel. Today is a good day. I'm back in action in India. Ismail has also joined us. Thank you, Ismail. I'm very happy. We have 3 members. That's good. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care. Bye.